Aloha, y'all. It is Moon Day, Monday, the 28th of March. The astrology is as follows. The sun is at 7 degrees 46 minutes Aries. The moon is at 20 degrees Aquarius. Mercury is at 2 degrees Aries. Venus is at 21 degrees Aquarius, conjunct Saturn exactly. Mars is at 16 degrees 40 minutes Aquarius. Jupiter's at 20 minutes degrees Pisces. Like I said, Saturn's at 21 exactly, conjunct Venus at 21 degrees Aquarius. Uranus is at 12 degrees 42 minutes Taurus. Neptune's at 23 degrees Pisces. Pluto's at 28 degrees Capricorn. And the North Node is at 23 degrees Taurus. So today is a Muladhara or root chakra day. It's the base of the spine on this moon day, the 28th. So focus on these things, right? Keywords: vitality, courage, and self-confidence. The positive aspects are security, courage, strength of will, and pioneering. Negative aspects are insecurity, self-pity, aggression, and fear. When you're doing the mantras, like kind of toning the chakras, do Lam, L-A-M, Lam, in the key of C, so Lam. If that was C, I'm not sure exactly, but you can see my point. Lam. The spiritual activities are noticing the beauty and perfection of the natural world. Essential oils are cinnamon and garlic, as well as sandalwood. Plant is sage. Metal is lead. Element is earth. Crystals are ruby, bloodstone, and hematite. And the soul lesson is service. So we want to be getting grounded, rooted in our base of our spine, in our security, and also appreciating the world as it stands, right? That's kind of one of the best ways to get in secure mode, to be like, everything is awesome and I'm glad to be here and I've asked to be here, that kind of mode. So let's go ahead and pull some cards and see what wants to pop. Hopefully y'all are doing well this morning or evening, wherever you're watching from. I'm not exactly sure. Some people watch from Australia. We got the Chariot card. Chariot. Na, 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 na. Beach house song there, alluded to. Chariot card is a major arcana card. It is related to Cancer. And in this image, there's quite a bit going on that's not typical, but somewhat still resonant of the original Rider-Waite. So let's go ahead and read what that's about. Chariot card right here. Taking charge of your own destiny. And really, in order to do that, we need to remove the blockages from our root chakras, right? Remove your fear. Take charge of your destiny. So take charge of your own destiny. Seize the moment. Very Aries sun, Aquarius moon. And let the momentum carry you forward. Finish what you set into motion. Do not hesitate. You can do this. So we're being told to act. Act with the momentum that you've been pushing forward with. You don't have to start from scratch. What have you been moving towards, right? The Chariot, I am confident that with discipline, I will succeed. And that is some Aquarius moon, Aries sun stuff. Saturn conjunct Venus exactly in Aquarius. It's like with discipline and hard work, with focus and determination, you can kind of move mountains if you need to and want to. The Chariot is the war vehicle that carries, very Aries sun, right? Aries Mercury. The Chariot is the war vehicle that carries this dreadlocked Bowie-esque king forward to victory against his enemies. His battle dress, demeanor, and maturity suggest he has been navigating the battlefield for many years. In life, like Homer's great champion and Trojan War hero Odysseus, who, in the Odyssey, faces tremendous travails on his long return home after the war, and with the ingeniously early won victories turned to absurdly challenging battles requiring enormous tenacity. Weathered by time, experience, and adversity, he knows that he will not be successful without rigorous preparation, planning, creativity, and above all, self-control. He understands he must rein in his emotions and control his natural aggression and ferocity while focusing his mind on what he wants to achieve, right? So with the Sun and Mercury and Aries, we might have very wild, passionate, ambitious kind of thoughts. We need to temper that with the cool nature of the Aquarius moon. He understands that he must rein in his emotions and control his natural aggression and ferocity while focusing his mind on what he wants to achieve. He must not get carried away by his ambition, Sun and Mercury in Aries, or his imagination, Neptune, Jupiter in Pisces. Balancing head with heart, Mars and Venus both in Aquarius, masculine with the feminine, he knows that he must travel with complete concentration and awareness on the difficult path, all the while keeping his wheels in motion. Moon in Aquarius, Saturn conjunct Venus in Aquarius, the focus and the determination of the mind, coupled with action. Mercury and Aries in Mercury and the Sun in Aries, right? It's not just about thinking these things; it's about doing them. Without control, which is Saturn conjunct Venus in Aquarius, without control, the Komodo dragon pulling his chariot will run wild and make a bid for freedom. The chariot itself is part organic tree and part mechanism, expressing the means by which humanity has sought to engineer and collaborate with nature. The venomous Komodo dragons, which we had the privilege of seeing firsthand on the island of Gili Manuk in Indonesia, are powerful predators capable of taking down large prey with their large, serrated teeth. They appear slow and cumbersome, but these lizards are all muscle and can move at explosive speeds. A powerful reminder to trust our own survival instincts, right? The base chakra. Survival instincts. Once you're clear, you can really be rooted in your instinct of being. This card therefore implies the game of life can only be won if we can master our emotions, Aquarius Moon, control our worries and fears, Venus conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, our fears, regrets, resignations, and hopelessness. The king driving his chariot symbolizes that self-belief and confidence, Aries Sun, Aries Mercury, comes from consistently refocusing one's thoughts and ideas to the objective goal at hand. North Node in Taurus. What are you here to do, right? We must move past the limbic system, which is the stress response of fight or flight, to engage with greater emotional intelligences. When we know ourselves, our motivations and needs, the why of why we do things, we can become more aware of when we are off track. Moon in Aquarius, like just really have this schematic and this understanding of know thyself, Venus conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. You have very specific kind of parameters of actualization and differentiation. So some people are very passionate, some people are very docile, some people are very, pleasure seeking, some people are very ascetic. The whole point is to know yourself and then work with the schematic of yourself. And if you want, holler for readings, because I can help you know thyself to the best of my ability. The Chariot ultimately signifies hard-won success, very Aries Sun, and whatever this card is connected to demands completion, right? With Pluto almost out of Capricorn, it's going to be exiting Capricorn in the next year or so, a couple years. It's about completing a transformation of the world and keeping the momentum of that transformation moving forward. Finish what you start. And if you're working with people, very Saturn conjunct Venus in Aquarius, working with others. If you're working with people, maintain balance and harmony by acknowledging people's needs and feelings while maintaining control. We can consciously and creatively release frustration and engage in the power of positive self-talk. The mantra, very Mercury and Aries at 2 degrees, positive self-talk. The mantra that will keep our wheels turning in the right direction. Although you must take people's needs and feelings into consideration, ultimately you must take full responsibility for your words and deeds. Aries, Sun, Moon, in Aquarius. So with the root chakra on this moon day, being the chakra, we really need to get rooted in our instincts, which aren't bad. You know, fight or flight is this limbic, I think it was saying limbic system, and your amygdala and parts of your brain are just hardwired to make you kind of jump. I think I even remember reading a study that's like, you know, some animals react to the predator before, I think snakes is specifically what it was, before they've even registered what the snake is. That just the shape in our neurological embeddedness is like, we'll run away. So we have instincts and we need to kind of clear out the fears as much as we can, but then root ourselves in those instincts. They serve a function. We will transcend them eventually, but we are apes to angels kind of situation. And with the Chariot card, we're moving forward. With Aries, Sun, and Mercury in Aries, we have this passion and zeal of a let's get it done kind of mode. And with the Moon in Aquarius, with Saturn conjunct Venus in Aquarius, Mars in Aquarius, we really want to do it in a cool, level-headed, emotionally balanced way. Not just zealous, not just chopping up people, you know. Aries energy to me is very much Peter in the Garden of Gethsemane chopping off a dude's ear. Where it's like, oh my gosh, Jesus is like, what did you just do? Keep cooler heads prevail, right? Moon in Aquarius. So have the passion, but keep it bottled like a genie. like a genie in a bottle, baby. You got to rub the bottle the right way, as she says. Don't just rub it for the sake of it. So let's go ahead and get a clarifying card. We got the 7 of Wands, a whole lot of fire energy. Wands are fire, like I was just saying, and in this card is the Mummy. So 7 of Wands is as follows. If you're an Aries, a Leo, or a Sagittarius, you are the 7 of Wands. Protecting and defending your own vision is really what we're getting with this, right? So what you're going to move forward with your vision, Chariot card, and your vision is broader. How would I put this? With the Moon in Aquarius, Saturn in conjunct Venus in Aquarius, with Mars in Aquarius, the North Node in Taurus, it's like make your vision so. Keep it cool. Bring the blueprints to the game. Don't just like bring your passion only. Like bring a schematic, but also learning to stand your ground. Aries Sun, like defending your vision, strengthening your resolve, and dealing with the challenges you face head on. Very Aries, Mercury, and Sun and Mercury and Aries. I kept saying Aries. You gotta fight for what fight for your rights, fight for what you believe. So it's not all about battles all the time. Sometimes fighting for what you believe is just moving forward and moving in a direction of those visions. You don't have to like kill everybody on the path. It's kind of like in Lord of the Rings. They don't stop and kill every orc. Like maybe if you're riding a warg or whatever, you just run by them. And it's like, well, I defeated them by getting past them or whatever. So use your head, Moon in Aquarius. 7 of Wands, I will not give is the answer to this clarifying. So it's about protecting your vision, right? Notice how the Mummy is protected, right? The self, the ego, in a sense, the body, Aries Sun, is protected by a sarcophagus, a technology, Moon in Aquarius. And we're moving towards our vision, but we have to do it in a rooted way, Muladhara chakra. If we're not grounded, if your house isn't built upon a rock, it doesn't matter where you want to go, you won't really get there well. So yes, you need zeal and you need to protect and move forward, move your vision, tackle things head on. But just like Roman soldiers would get into those groups, I think they're called a phalanx, they get into these triangular groups with shields on top and in front, spears out front. It's like there's a smart way to move forward, a secure way to move forward. You don't just run forward willy-nilly like barbarians did, and that's why they lost the Romans, because there was an organized force versus a disorganized force. That's why the Americans won the Revolutionary War. Well, in a way, it was the exact opposite, because the British were like, we're all going to stand in a line and take our sweet time and do this proper, and the guerrilla warfare tactics essentially terrorized and defeated the British. So it kind of goes both ways sometimes. But the point is, we're moving forward, and we got to protect our vision. So don't doubt it, claim it, and then give space and let it breathe, right? Because if all you're doing is just being a billows and being like, it's like you're not going to actually see what's going on. You're going to get so tunnel visioned that you just are unawares of what's going on. We've got the honeybee, reciprocity, with Venus conjunct Saturn exactly right now in Aquarius, which Aquarius is about teams and the group, the royal we. That's a quote from the dude. Not the dude, the Big Lebowski. The dude says this. The royal we? What day is this? He's got a beard, like the Big Lebowski kind of. Reciprocity is all about give and take, do unto others, right? So you are a self, Aries Sun, but you have to be aware of others' emotional needs and realities as well, Moon in Aquarius. So this is number 6, the honeybee, reciprocity. We must give and take, it's a both and if we make a mistake, we must make amends, tackle that head on. The earth revolves around reciprocity to remain balanced and to grow, and as humans are a part of the earth, so this applies to us as well. Learn to work happily with others. It is important to learn to communicate effectively, as there may be a breakdown in communication with Mercury and Sun and Aries. We might have this over-exaggeration of our zeal. We might just burn people out with our passion. So it's good to ride the lightning, and it's good to harness that fire and keep your vision intact. But with the Moon in Aquarius, with Saturn conjunct Venus exactly in Aquarius, we want to be inclusive of others and aware of others right now. North Node in Taurus for the value of all, ourselves as well as others. So the mythos, Aristeus was the son of Cyrene, the huntress, and the god Apollo. It was said that Cyrene was not interested in the traditional womanly things and instead wanted to hunt in the forest and conquer cities. Venus conjunct Saturn in Aquarius. Very different and atypical and weird, eccentric woman energy. The boy got to learn from all the great gods and goddesses he was related to, one of whom was Demeter, the goddess of agriculture. Demeter introduced Aristaeus to the bee maidens, who taught him the art of working with bees. As he grew out of childhood and into a young man, the bees rested in his beard. Such was the love for and trust they had in him. As an adult, Aristaeus accidentally caused the death of the nymph Eurydice. In their rage and sorrow, her sisters killed every bee that Aristaeus worked with, Sun and Aries, right? They felt their team was affected, and her moon in Aquarius, so they lashed out. Sun and Aries, Mercury and Aries. They weren't really thinking. They just kind of killed and destroyed and got vengeance. South Node in Scorpio. He was devastated. He wanted to work with bees again, very Saturn in Aquarius, conjunct Venus. He wanted to work with others and also make amends. So he consulted the wise Proteus, who suggested he could honor Eurydice by making sacrifices of 4 bulls and 4 cows. As the bodies lay upon the altar, 8 great swarms of bees took flight from them. It is said that all bees come from these 8 swarms, right? So North Node and Taurus, everything, all the value is created just from a few bees, and they make honey, which we're about to learn about. So animals, bees are a social insect. Saturn and Venus conjuncted Aquarius, Mars in Aquarius, Moon in Aquarius, very social, the royal way, the team mode. And they are vital. They are an insect that are vital to the world's ecosystem and food production. North Node and Taurus, they really are important for the world's value. It is estimated that over 70% of the top 100 food crops that provide 90% of the world's food, it's a whole lot of percentages and stats, I know, but 70% of the top 100 foods that provide most of the food, 90% of the world's food, are bee pollinated. No bees, no food for humans or animals. There are about 20,000 species of bees, but the one highlighted here is the western honeybee. In the wild, these bees usually create a hive out of a hollow log or tree, and there would be 10 or 20,000 to 20,000 bees in an average colony. The bees build comb from wax they secrete. The comb is used to protect the bees and act as a chamber for the eggs and bee larvae, but also as a communication medium. So they themselves, Aries Sun, create this magnificent structure through kind of, bioengineering of their, saliva and all sorts of stuff. Moon in Aquarius, but they do it to communicate through Aries and Mercury and Aries. So it's also a communication medium for their individual as well as collective selves. Bee colonies have one queen that lays all the eggs and determines what larvae will be what, and so what role they will play in the hive. Very Saturn conjunct Venus in Aquarius. It's the queen bee, the one bee lady, and she's telling you what your role is. Saturn in Aquarius. A queenless colony may perish if they cannot replace their queen. Honey is produced by bees ingesting the nectar of plants, of flowers, and combining it with special enzymes. They regurgitate the substance into chambers in the honeycomb. This is sealed and transforms into honey, which feeds the colony in times of scarcity or bad weather. So they've engineered Moon and Aquarius a way to be positive and proactive, even in times of death and destruction. South Node and Scorpio, they can thrive and be good. North Node and Taurus. Honeybees have a sting as their defense. By injecting the stinger, which contains a toxin, the bee perishes. So, their love for the group, Venus conjunct Saturn and Aquarius, can lead to their death, in this sense. So the detaching of the stinger kills them, but they do it for, one for all and all for one, and they kind of die like that. Bees are one of a very small group of animals that demonstrate displacement in communication. They are able to tell a story or communicate a happening outside of what is actually there. Very Moon in Aquarius. For example, a bee may see a good source of food and be able to communicate this back to the hive by a detailed dance to other bees that includes compass directions and distance to the target. They're getting the schematic in for the other bees. The magic. How I love bee magic. As a beekeeper, I'm privileged to experience the magic of bees every day. This is Stacy DeMarco talking first person. She's been on the podcast. Shout out. From the way they literally turn sunshine into honey, very Moon in Aquarius, Saturn in conjunct Venus in Aquarius, Mars in Aquarius, they're engineering reality in a very particularly weird way, to the way they dance, communicate, and the way they bring life to my garden. Aries Sun, they're bringing action in, right? The Chariot, they're bringing movement into her garden. Pollination. Call upon bee magic when you want to improve communication and connection. It is wonderful energy to use when you're attempting to find a balance and a proper level of give and take in a relationship or work situation. Bee magic can also be used to stimulate your garden and your creativity. So, symbology is a bee dance, hive, a man with bees in his beard, bee maidens, honeycomb. Status, honeybees are endangered. Please become a beekeeper or plant bee-friendly plants and do not use systemic pesticides. So, it's one thing to have a garden, it's another thing to douse the garden in pesticides. I know it's easier to do it that way probably, but like don't do it that way, because guess what? You'll kill the bees. And they're on a mission. They're here to pollinate and move around and create the movement in the world that leads to you know, life, basically. Like they're a fundamental structure of the part of our balanced reality, the root of our reality. Most of our food comes from bee pollinated things. So we need to give them the space to do their mission. Seven of Wands as the clarifier, right? And we ourselves need to tackle everything kind of like the bee, where it's like, it's a group, it's a royal we situation, but at the same time we're individuals who have to choose whether or not to give up your stinger for your life for others or not. What's your mission? Have you been told by the queen what your mission is? That kind of energy. So we're tapping into our mission, we're moving out. It's no longer sitting still, very Aries sun, Mercury in Aries, and with the moon in Aquarius, we have to have that vision focused and basically moving towards value, North Node and Taurus. But you have to stand your ground. Like sometimes, you know, the bees have to swarm someone they, you know, don't like or whatever, and some of them will die, and they know that. I don't know how cognizant bees are of their mission, in the sense of like, you know, are they giving out medals for dead bees? Probably not, but you see my point. But hey, they have displacement in their communication. We have no clue how smart they are. That displacement is fundamentally unique to them, or at least so we believe as humans. So let's get an I Ching card. We've got 27. It looks like the guy's holding a bow and arrow, but we will see in a second what this means. The I Ching is a hexagram system used by the Chinese. It's their divination system. It's ancient as fuck. The Gene Keys, Richard Rudd, he wrote the Gene Keys. He's been on the podcast. The Gene Keys and human design are largely based on this in astrology. So 27. Actually, Richard Rudd's going to be returning with Jamie Kato, his friend. We had Jamie on, and we had both of them on very different, you know, a year and a half, 2 years apart or something. And we started talking to Jamie, who is the director of Becoming Nobody, and he was a famous musician before that, a Grammy winner, or a nominee, I forget. And they were friends, they were chums. So it's like, oh, we're going to have to get you guys on together and see how that goes. Nourishment, that is what honey and bees do. They create nourishment and sustenance, right? And the Chariot card is a Cancerian card, right? So this is about nourishing and nourishing and what's the word I'm trying to look for? Oh gosh, nurturing, nourishing and nurturing. I mean, it's basically the same root word. From a loving, kind place. So nourishment. This sign stands for bodily nourishment as much as for spiritual nourishment. So Aries sun, bodily nourishment, like feed your body, as much as moon and Aquarius, feed your mind and spirit. If you want to cast judgment on someone, then look at the focus of his or her attention and the aspect of his existence, this person nourishes. So it's like, what? Does this person thrive off of violence? Does this person thrive off of gambling? What are they doing? Someone who bothers about things unworthy of attention and becomes preoccupied by them will be of little use to you, right? So that's hard. You got to stay focused and on your mission, right? Chariot card. But someone who has a higher objective in mind will have something valuable to offer you. You too should appear stimulating and encouraging when it comes to relating to other people, right? So when you're relating to other people's moon in Aquarius, Saturn conjunct Venus in Aquarius, you have to be stimulating. Aries sun, Aries Mercury. You have to have the movement, the Cancer card. The Chariot, you have to fight for your ideals, but you have to do it in a reciprocal manner. You can't just like overpower people. You have to be considerate of them and come at it from a very grounded place, right? Where they're like, oh, he's grounded, so we know he fights for what he believes in. He's moving in the right direction. And that is how you nourish yourself and others. And notice how it's showing the sun. I'm not really sure what this is. I mean, I thought it was a bow and arrow, but it's not, or seemingly not. So we get our nourishment from the sun. And ironically enough, the sun is at its apex in the northern hemisphere during Chariot season, the summer solstice. So let's get one more card, the crystal card, crystal stone deck. You can quantumly entangle with this. You do not have to own it, but if you do, 10 points for you. Let's go ahead and see what wants to pop. Ooh, this is some odd looking little creature, mineraloid. Vanadinite. Like I said, you don't have to own this. You could just quantumly entangle with it. Let me put these other cards away. So very kind of Aquarius moon, weird and funky. Saturn, structure. Venus conjunct the physical embodiment, all weird. And Saturn, like its structure is all kind of weird. And Aries sun, very red and fiery. Vanadinite, what it is, playful, geometric, and fiery. Vanadinite, a mining byproduct often sourced from America's southwest, forms in orange to red hexagonal shaped crystals when lead or oxidizes. And we had said that the Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, which is also red orange, right, is the metal is lead. So we're getting a whole lot of lead coming up. Who needs it? Those lacking self-discipline, right? The whole point of the Chariot card was like, keep your passions, which are needed, tended. The fire needs to be tended, but held, right? Sun in Aries, your fire is needed. You need zeal and motivation and movement, 7 of Wands. You need to fight for what you believe in, but do it in a cool, calm, collected way. Moon in Aquarius. Saturn conjunct Venus in Aquarius. Mars in Aquarius. Where to put it? So people who needs it? Those lacking self-discipline. Where to put it? Vanadinite has a high lead content, so definitely not in your mouth. When to use it? When it's time to live in the moment. Very Aries sun. When you are the prime audience for a motivational speech. Whether it's hard work, making art, or just a blissed out moment free from the mind's ongoing commentary, an energizing meditation with Vanadinite can help knock down whatever stands between you and your happy place, right? 7 of Wands, fighting for it, standing your ground. And sometimes that means finding nourishment in meditative spaces. Moon and Aquarius, you can get still and find your nourishment. But we do need to be like taking charge and moving forward well with the Chariot card. So this says break through your big blocks with Vanadinite. That is what we're being told to do. Our biggest block is probably fear and security issues, root chakra, so that's the first block to start with. And then when you kind of deal with that, you start moving forward, you get the momentum, and you keep that momentum moving forward with the Chariot card, standing up for what you believe in, standing up for your personhood and your values, North Node and Taurus, for your individual rights, Aries sun and Mercury, your individual thoughts, as well as your collective situation, your teams, and the alliances you believe in, Venus conjunct Saturn and Aquarius, Moon and Aquarius. That's how we nourish ourselves, like the honeybee, right? We can nourish ourselves off of ingenuity of the self working with a group. And ultimately breaking through your big blocks is what we're being called to do on this moon day. So I believe that the biggest block is fear. Fear is the mind killer. And there's somewhere in the middle between like be a passionate, zealous kind of warrior of truth, but also know when to use it. It's like a samurai. They weren't just running around cutting off everyone's heads. They were being powerfully honed and articulate in the use of that powerful weapon, right? They weren't just like willy-nilly about it. They weren't typically, they weren't just tyrannical and kind of like, look what I can do. They were like, I know all the moves and I'll use them if I have to. Don't make me have to use it. They didn't have a fear. And they even almost embraced death, really, samurai, with the harikari and stuff like that. So we have to be moving forward confidently with our vision. That's real. But we have to be nourishing ourselves and others, being reciprocal, being aware of others' needs and our needs simultaneously. But with it being Aries season and Mercury in Aries, like we're going to think of ourselves first probably. So that's with the moon in Aquarius, that's nicely balancing it out. It's like yes, we're a warrior, but I have a clan that I'm fighting with. And then ultimately we're all in this game together, so let's play well. But you need to break through your blocks, your big blocks, your biggest blocks, probably fear with Vanadinite, and get that ball rolling, move forward. Rolling on the river, kind of move it along. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. If you do tip, I'd greatly appreciate it. Holler for readings, $33 for an hour of cards, $88 for 3 hours of astrology, $111 for both. Check out the TEAMrabbithole podcast. We just had Kai Pacha Lesher on for the second time, and Cullen Smith. He's from Lifting the Veil. He just wrote a book. All these cool kind of characters. Peyton Quinn Baker, she's an artist. She was just recently on. I just saw literally a truck full of people pull up, so I guess they're farmers or laborers or whatever they're doing. I guess the plantains are ready to harvest. So individuals seeking their money, right? It's like, I got to survive and I got to do my thing, Aries sun, but they're doing it as a group. Moon and Aquarius, Saturn, the work, Saturn in Aquarius, conjunct Venus, like to help create value in their lives. I digress. You can see astrology all around you when you want to look. I mean, it's always happening. All 64 hexagrams are constantly fluxing. It's like the Matrix. So holler for readings. Check out the podcast. Tip if you want. And I will catch y'all on the flip side. Enjoy your moon day. Make moves. Think of others. Do your thing, but do it for the benefit of all, North Node and Taurus. It's not just about you, because ultimately the other is you in a different kind of way. So I'll catch y'all on the flip side. And like he says, abide, says the dude. abides. So how do we abide? As a self in the collective. All right, y'all. Adios.